Good.
Lily, please.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm very glad to see you with us. It's our usual panel once in every other month, the end of the month. So here we are together. Today we have something very special on our program. We have sons, special sons to very special mothers who are going to tell about their mothers. Besides the interesting fact that sons are talking about their mothers, which is quite unusual because children usually criticize their parents but don't talk about them with appreciation. But here it's something else which is very interesting, that all the three speakers are doctors and professors of science. And still they are dealing with history and not only the sheer story of their mothers. So this is also something to pay attention. I'm very pleased and honored to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Alexander Kaur. When I asked Alex to tell about himself, he said, well, what can I write? I'm the son of two Holocaust survivors, Michael and Eva Mozes Kaur. He's a doctor of medicine, and he visited Auschwitz since 1985 more than 20 times. Most of the visits were with his mother. He's a member of Candles, and also, which is very important, I think, he's really making lots of efforts to spread the idea of forgiveness that was the raison d'etre of his late mother, Eva Kaur. Alex is going to talk about his mother. And he called his presentation My Loving Mother, Eva Mozes Kaur, A Journey of Healing. Alex, the floor is yours, and you have max 20 minutes.
And
Please.
yes, here we go. Okay, there we go. Give me 1 second. How's everybody doing? Shana Tova.
Can you make it larger?
Yeah, I am trying. It was working before. 1 second. Yep. Okay, sorry. Get rid of that. Interesting. Can't make it larger. Well, sorry. Nope, now we're going. I apologize.
Okay.
You
want to try again?
Yeah, I mean, I'm 1 second. I apologize. There it is.
While Alex is trying to find his materials, I'm going to add another story about Alex. Alex was a member in our first Belgrade conference. He flew from the States to Belgrade. He stayed one single night to present the story of his mother and went back. I think that most of the mothers would like to have a son like Alex.
Okay.
Stop share and share again, okay? Stop share.
I'll stop share.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll share again.
Find the presentation.
Yeah,
try to open it large and then share.
It won't. Here, let's do this. There we go. I got it, I think. 1
Good.
second, I think. Let me go back. Okay. 1 second. I think we're almost there. There we go. There and share. And it continues to open halfway. Well.
Oh, okay. Continue this way and.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's fine.
I apologize. Okay, Shana Tova, Happy New Year. I apologize. Hopefully you can see enough of it. I might try to get somebody to help me here. But nonetheless, my name's Alex Kaur. I'm the son of Eva Mozes Kaur. and also my father, Mickey Core. But we're going to talk about my mother. And as Lily said, my mother, Eva Moses Core, she hailed from the Transylvanian Valley and Hungary, Romania, was born into a very religious family. And her father, who I'm named after, Alexander, there were two older girls. And when my grandmother was pregnant again, my grandfather Alexander was hoping for a boy. The midwife comes to deliver, and out comes a girl, Miriam. And then the midwife says, "Oh, but wait, there's another one coming. Maybe it's a boy." And with great disappointment, Eva, my mother, was born. The family was the only Jewish family in Ports, Romania, which is north and west of Cluj in the Transylvanian Valley. Life was pretty normal for the first 5 or 6 years. My mom remembers when they were 7 years old, things were starting to get worse. There was a teacher that had been put into the school by Nazi sympathizers. And my mom remembers a math equation, a math problem. If you have 5 Jews and you kill 2 Jews, how many Jews are left? My mom and my aunt went home to their mother and said, "Why do we have to take this?" And by now, their window of opportunity to leave Europe had vanished. And unfortunately, they had no choice but to take it. In 1944, and there's the whole family, Alexander, my grandfather, my grandmother, 2 older sisters, and my mom and my aunt were identical twins. They looked alike. They always dressed alike. In February, March of 1944, the Nazis surrounded their home and took them to a ghetto. Obviously, they had no choice. They were told to put all their clothes on their back. They got to the ghetto. One of their friends would throw food across the barbed wire. That was the only way they could eat. They were then taken from their home, put on a cattle car. Nobody told them where they were going. And 3.5 days later, the cattle car slowed down. In the middle of the night, the cattle car doors opened, and now they were at the selection platform at Auschwitz. Within seconds of the cattle car doors opening, my mom and my aunt held on tightly to their mother. They were 10 years old at this point. As they stepped off the cattle car onto the selection platform, my mother realized that her father and her 2 older sisters had disappeared into the crowd, never to be seen again. My mom and my aunt, 10 years old, couldn't see over the crowd, but they heard somebody in German yelling, "Twins, twins." My mom and my aunt, as I said, dressed alike, looked alike. A Nazi guard approached them and asked my grandmother, "Are they twins?" And my grandmother said, "Yes." 3 Nazis jump out and pull my mom and my aunt away from their mother. The last thing that my mom remembers is her mother's arm stretched out. If my mom were speaking today, she would tell you the one regret she had was she never knew this would be the last time she would see her mother. She was never given the opportunity to say goodbye. Over the next 9 months, they were used in medical experiments by Dr. Mengele. At the age of 10, most children were sent immediately to the gas chamber. My mom and my aunt were saved because they were used in these medical experiments done by Dr. Mengele. There were 3,000 twins, 1,500 sets of 2. If one twin died during the experiments, the other twin was killed to do comparative autopsies. What was the reason for these experiments? There's a lot of debate about that. I've spoken and met with over probably 80 or 90 twins over the years, and to a person, they would all say they thought they were being used in experiments to develop fertility drugs. January 27th, 1945, that's my mother and my aunt at the very front, my mother on the left, my aunt on the right. The 2 ladies in white are the Red Cross. The 2 girls that look like they have hoodies, but they're scarves behind my daughter Miriam on the right, those are the Changara twins. They live in Israel. And so this was the liberation video and picture. Shortly thereafterwards, my mom went with my aunt to an orphanage in Katowice. 8 months or so later, Mrs. Changra, the mother of those two twins, who was a friend of my grandmother, found my mom and my aunt in the orphanage, lied and said she was an aunt. And finally, my mom and my aunt went home back to Ports. They were now 11 years old. They thought surely if they survived, their mom and dad survived. The only thing that survived was a family dog. And so shortly thereafterwards, they moved in with an aunt, Cluj, Romania, communist Romania. 1950, my mom and my aunt were issued a visa with their aunt to Israel. As you can see in this picture, and I apologize for the IT issue, my mom and my aunt were in the IDF. My mom reached a sergeant major. My mom was a draftswoman, architect. My aunt was a nurse. My aunt married a Sabra, Kuti Zeiger. And at the age of 27, my mom felt like an old hag because she was still single and Miriam was married. My father came to Israel to visit Shlomo Kor, father of Avshalom Kor. I'm sure some of you know who that is. And Shlomo put an ad in the paper. My mom would never tell the story when she was alive. But my mom responded to the ad put in the Mahariv newspaper by Shlomo that his brother, an American Holocaust survivor, was coming to Israel. He was looking for a wife. My mom and my dad met. My mom spoke no English. My father spoke no Hebrew. On the third date, my dad asked my mom a question. She said yes. He pulled out a ring and they were engaged. My father was living in Terre Haute, Indiana, because he was liberated by an American GI from Terre Haute. So eventually my mom moved to Terre Haute with my father, and I was born, and then I have a younger sister. And I thought life was normal. As I said before we started, my first language was Hebrew growing up in Indiana. I was fluent at a very young age. And really life was somewhat normal. We knew about our parents' past. My mom had an Auschwitz number. My dad was not at Auschwitz, so he did not have a number. And things were pretty normal. And then and here's a picture of my sister and my parents. And then what happened in about 5th grade during Halloween, which is in the month of October here in the United States, kids would throw corn at the house. And as a result, this quickly escalated. 1972, we had swastikas on our window. The miniseries Holocaust brought my mom some credibility. She gave an interview, and this kind of started her speaking career, but she had a lot of pain. She founded Cannell's Holocaust Museum. Miriam in Israel was able to find a number of twins. They found 122 twins throughout the world. And the whole idea was to kind of make sure they knew their stories, and a lot of the twins were starting to have health problems. 1985 was the first time I went back to Auschwitz. You know, my parents were my textbooks. I never had textbooks. And that first time in 1985, I knew where everything was. It was a very strange feeling. Several bad things started happening to my mom. She had a sign at the Capitol Rotunda hoping to get reparations money for other twins. She was arrested and roughed up. And then in 1987, my aunt was going into kidney failure. My mom donated one of her kidneys. They were an identical match. But unfortunately, in 1993, heartbroken, my aunt, Donna Miriam, passed away in Afridar in Ashkelon. And my mom was on this search, and this is where we'll get to what we talked about, forgiveness. My mom really didn't know what to do, where to turn. And then she got a strange phone call from a professor at Boston College. Said, Eva, I'm sorry to hear about Miriam, but maybe you want to start lecturing again. Do you want to lecture to the doctors here in Boston? We're having a conference. And my mom said, oh, I love lecturing to the doctors. They think they know everything. I'll put the good doctors in their place. And then he said something, well, Eva, maybe you could have one of those Nazi doctors come with you to the meeting in Boston. My mom said, well, that's a strange question, Dr. Mihalchik. The last time I looked, they were not advertising in the yellow pages. That's a phone book. He said, oh, that's funny, Eva, maybe you'll think of something. The last project that my mom and my aunt worked on was for ZDF, a German TV network. And in the last, when the movie was aired on TV, there was a Nazi doctor who was cleared of all charges. So my mom, Dr. Munch was this Nazi doctor, and this is Dr. Mahalchik, but Dr. Munch was that Nazi doctor. My mom made contact with the Munch family in Germany, hoping he would come to Boston. The response was, Eva, he's not coming to Boston, but if you want an interview, he'll give it to you in Germany. My mom was petrified to go back to Germany. Just hearing the German language would give her nightmares. She got a TV crew. They flew to his house. My mom already had a new purpose. That was to see if Munch could help my mom help the other Mengele twins find out what Mengele injected to them so they could avoid the same predicament, the same fate as my Aunt Miriam. Dr. Munch in his living room said, Eva, I don't know anything about the experiments. Mengele kept everything to himself, but I have nightmares too. My mom said, you have nightmares too? I thought we were the ones with the nightmares. Well, no, he helped save 20-some Jewish doctors, but periodically he would stand outside the gas chamber, and as the last body stopped moving, he would sign one death certificate. He went on in his living room in front of a TV crew with my mother to describe the operation of the camp, the operation of the gas chamber. My mom was a quick thinker, and she said, you know, Dr. Munch, for all the people, this is 1993, for all the people that said the Holocaust never occurred or there really weren't 6 million people, would you come with us to Auschwitz January 27, 1995, to document history just like you did in our living room? The world needs to know your story. He said, sure. She came back to Terre Haute, asking me, how can you thank a Nazi doctor? Nothing seemed appropriate. She went to a card shop, local Hallmark store, nothing seemed appropriate. For months and months and months, she looked for a reason, a way to thank him. Then finally she came up with that idea in her name only, and I stress this, in her name only, the best way she could give a gift to Dr. Munch, the best thing she can do for another human being in her name only was to forgive him. So sure enough, she created a document that you see here. This is a ceremony, January 27th, 1995. And my mom knew that she was giving Dr. Munch a gift. She did not realize until much later in her life, several months later and even years, that she was also giving herself a gift. She no longer had this chip on her shoulder. She no longer resented her parents. She no longer hated herself for hating her parents. So she decided she wanted a clean slate. She wanted to forgive Munch, her mom, her dad, herself, and Mengele in her name only. And then she went one extra step, which is very controversial, in her name only, again, to forgive all Nazis. I asked my mom, I said, Mom, you're opening up yourself to a lot of criticism. How can you, in your name only, forgive all Nazis? And she said, Alex, it's very simple for me. I don't want another Nazi doctor in 3 or 4 years say, hey, I worked alongside Mengele or Munch. Why don't you forgive me too? She wanted to move forward with her life, not look back. And so my mom's life lessons, and we're almost done, Lily, never give up, prevent prejudice by judging people only on their actions and the content of their character. Forgive your worst enemy, will heal your soul and set you free. Give your parents an extra hug and kiss for all those kids like my mom and my aunt that did not have parents after the war. And then Tikkun Olam, repair the world. And so for the most part, we've covered that. And one last thing, there's a movie out that is done about 8 years ago. And at the very end of the movie, my mom looks to the heavens and says, Mom, Dad, I hope you're proud of me. I will tell your story. And now, of course, I look to those same heavens and say, Mom, Dad, I hope you're proud of me. I will tell your story. I'm very sorry for the technical problem, but I appreciate your time, and I'll stay on the call.
Thank you so much, Alex. It was a very touching presentation indeed. And now we are moving to our second speaker. Our second speaker is Professor Arnon Karnieli. And when I asked him, what would you like me to say about you? He said only one sentence, that he was born in 1952, son of Kasha Frymer, a Holocaust survivor, and currently he is a professor of science in the University of Ben Gurion in the Negev. So short and so I think the most important things are here in the two sentences. Arnon is going to talk about his mother, Chasha Frymer, and he's going to talk about her life during the years 1939, 1947. Arnon also published a book dealing with his mother, and I must say that I'm very proud that I think that I was among the first people to see the book, and it's a very, very interesting book indeed. I really recommend you to read it. Arnon, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Lily. Thank you very much, Batya, for inviting me. And I'm proud to speak in front of these people about my mother. My mother, Cesia Frymer, was born in 1923. So she was 16 years old when the war started. During the war, she passed several locations: Ghetto Krakow, Plaszow, Auschwitz-Birkenau, and Lichtenstein. However, like many Holocaust survivors, she seldom spoke about the war nor shared what had happened in general or about her personal experience in particular. In our family, we call such people bunkers. After she passed away at the age of 88, I review her estates and discover several interesting items. One was a Polish book I can show you. This book, and I do not have speaking the language. My mother was cited in several times in this index. Besides, in a hidden drawer beneath her bed, I found two personal documents, also in Polish. At this point, I began my journey to get to know my mother better. I was not aware about the contents of these documents, but as my curiosity grew, I sent them for translation. I discovered that one is a testimony she gave in the Institute for Jewish History in Warsaw in December 45. And the second, it's a handwritten diary she wrote from the day she was liberated from the labor camp in May 45, continuing for only 2 years until she immigrated to Israel in June 47. The testimony was a subjective document of the Hashomer HaTzair underground in Krakow. In contrast, the diary was highly emotional and personal document, reflecting her mental and physical state, her bitterness, longings, disappointments, thoughts about committing suicide, and her fear from the future. Later, in order to continue this journey, I traveled to Poland several times, searching numerous archives, interviewed many individuals in Poland and Israel, and read a lot of published material. I learned that, although young, my mother belonged to the Hashomer HaTzair underground in Krakow. She was a fighter and led groups for a group of others in several operations against the Nazis. The well-known operations were Optima and Signeria in Krakow. She was also a courier, kasharit, who used to travel at night to Warsaw and back, delivering messages, newspapers, and leaflets about meetings, dates, and planned activities between the headquarters. When the ghetto was evacuated, she was transferred to Plaszów, where she continued with others her underground activities. Later, she was sent to Auschwitz and then to a labor camp in the Sudetenlands. In her story, she told again and again how she survived due to the brave friendship with other girls in the camps. I want to cite two short parts from her documents. In the first, she claims, I was in the underground and I was proud of it. Maybe we didn't perform miracles, but we did what was within our power. When I came to Israel, many accused the Holocaust survivors for going like sheep to the slaughter. But I, who was there, can assure you that everybody who fell in the Nazis' net is a hero who survived day by day. And the second from her diary, there she wrote, how much I would give for my beloved mom to be by my side. Mom, how much meaning is continued in that one word? How many feelings, love, devotion, and self-sacrifice? Unfortunately, only those who have lost a mother can appreciate her, and only now I do appreciate you so much, my beloved. Mama, how could I do that? How could I leave you alone? Poor you. You worries about how I would manage alone. If only I could have worked for you the way I worked for myself. And now, with this mark on my forehead, I'm expecting to stand before my sisters who live in Israel. I'm living memento of your death. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Arnon. It was short and interesting. No doubt you presented the dilemmas of a young girl, young woman that had to face horrible choices between survival and family, being with her mother or trying and fight for her life. Our last but not least speaker before we start our discussion is Professor Yoel Yaari. Yoel is a professor emeritus in the Hebrew University, and he published several articles and studies in his field in science. However, in 2015, he started to investigate and learning about the Holocaust, and he focuses on many interesting topics. Jewish women in the resistance is only one of them. He has published several Holocaust-related articles in public media and also a very interesting book that I'm very happy that I have it in my library, The Portrait of a Woman. It recently appeared in Hebrew and is going to be translated very shortly into English. Yoel is going to talk about his mother, and Yoel called his lecture, My Mother, My Superwoman. Yoel, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. First, I apologize, I have corona. This is not my real voice. And I hope it doesn't crack during the presentation. Do you see my presentation?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So actually, I'm going to talk about myself, not about my mother so much. The first,
How masculine.
but I will start with Mom's biography, and then I will speak about my childhood with her, and then my professional metamorphosis, as I call it, and lastly, recognition of my mother. So my mother was born in a small shtetl, Rožišť, in the Volyn district. At that time, it was Poland, but today it's in the Ukraine. She was one of 8 siblings, and her father died when she was 6 years old. Her mother, Esther, maintained the family. All the other people in this photo were killed by the Nazis. She's the only survivor. She studied in Tarbut school, Hebrew speaking school. She knew Hebrew quite well when she was young. When she finished her school, her mother wanted her to have a profession. She sent her to the Ort professional school for sewing to become a seamstress. And you can see on the right a picture of her from Kovel, where the school was, and in a dress that she prepared herself. The family was religious, but also very Zionist. And my mother, from an early age, joined the Hechalutz Tza'ir movement, later to become Dror movement, after uniting with Freiheit. You can see her here, almost before the beginning of the war, sitting in a summer camp near Bendin. She was in Bendin when the war broke, and as many pioneers, Chalutzim, and other Jews, when the Germans occupied Western Poland, they fled to the Soviet-controlled area. And my mother, in October 1939, together with 4 boys from her commune, she went on a 1,000 kilometers trip to Vilna. As you can see here, she had to cross 2 borders. One was the German-Soviet border at Przemysl. The other was the German-Lithuanian border near Lida. And eventually she managed to get to Vilna and join other refugees from her movement. And you can see her here. Here she is sitting in a seminar held in the spring of 1940, when Vilna was under Lithuanian was the capital of Lithuania, which was at that time a free country, and some of these people could actually make it to Palestine. Here is one of them, Moshe Novoprotsky. And whereas the others remained in Vilna, and eventually most of them were killed in the Bialystok uprising. You can see here, besides my mother, other dominant figures of that time. Here is Tema Schneiderman, a courier of Dror. Here is Mordechai Tenenbaum, eventually becoming the leader of the Bialystok uprising, and he was killed, actually shot himself with the last bullet in August 1943. My mother became a courier of the Dror underground. She adopted a Polish identity, Bronislawa Limanowska, and by herself and together with her comrades, Tema Schneiderman, Lonka Kozhibrodska, and others, she committed many acts of bravery in the underground. The main cities or ghettos that she frequented were Vilna, Grodno, Bialystok, and Warsaw, as well as other towns and cities outside of this route. Whenever she came to a ghetto, she had to go through the wall, or the brick wall, or the wooden wall, and here are Warsaw and Vilna and Bialystok and Grodno, or the gate, or the fence, the barbed wire fence. I'm sorry for that. Eventually, she was captured. Actually, in June 1942, Lonka Kozhibrodska, her comrade, was sent on a mission to Warsaw. She was captured at the Malkinia train station, which is midway between Bialystok and Warsaw. And my mother was actually volunteered to look for her because she didn't come back to Bialystok, and she took the train to Warsaw, and at Malkinia she was also captured, and then sent to Shucha, Gestapo headquarters in Warsaw, where she was severely tortured, and eventually she was sent to Pawiak prison, where she met Lonka Kozibrowska, and her ways never departed until Kozibrowska died later in Auschwitz-Birkenau. They were both sent to Birkenau on the 12th of November, 1942. Most of the time in Birkenau, my mother served as a nurse, Pflegerin, and she interacted, among other doctors, with Dr. Mengele, as well as Werner Rode and Klein, Fritz Klein, and Fischer and others. She was in Auschwitz almost 2.5 years. And during, when the camp was evacuated, she went on the death march to Loslau, and then in an open coal train to Ravensbrück, and from Ravensbrück to the women's camp in Malchau, where women prisoners were starved to death by hunger. And after 3 months in Malchau, she was sent to Leipzig in a camp called Taucha, and this is where she was liberated. After that, she moved to Liège and then to Paris. Eventually, she met the brigade, soldiers from the Israeli soldiers from the brigade. They took her to Italy, first to Treviso, and then she moved to Santa Maria di Bani, which was a camp for deported people, where she took charge of a group of 40 girls, orphan girls from different camps, and eventually, after 3 months, they have been given certificates, and on November 4th, they sailed to Palestine. She reached Haifa on November 8, 1945. After settling with the girls in Kibbutz Ramat HaKovesh, she was sent by the Kibbutz HaMauchad movement to Kibbutz Givat Brenner, where she sat down for a whole month, and she wrote her memoirs. She filled 3 notebooks, as you can see here, which she gave somebody, and eventually these notebooks reached the archives of the Ghetto Fighters House, the archives of Beit Lochamei HaGetaot, and she wrote her notebooks in Hebrew that she learned in Tarbut school when she was in Rojish, and she did not forget it throughout all the years. And her Hebrew, I must say, is much better than the spoken Hebrew today in Israel, including those of my kids. After writing the diary, she married with my father, Chaim Zaleshinsky. Eventually, he changed his name to Yaari. He was 6 years in the British Army as a volunteer from Palestine. He met my mother in Rome, in Italy. They fell in love. And on the 6th of January, 1946, they married and moved to his kibbutz, Kibbutz Glil Yam. You can see her with my father and her first daughter. She had 2 kids, my daughter Esther, born in 1947, and 2 years later, I was born. They did not stay in Kibbutz Glil Yam because my mother could not bear the wooden barracks and the fence around the kibbutz and the commune or how do you say, toilets. They all reminded her of Birkenau, and also she was very badly treated by kibbutz members who considered Holocaust survivors, especially pretty women, as either they were couples, perhaps prostitutes, or maybe even both. And because of that treatment, my mother decided to leave the kibbutz, and after 1 year in the kibbutz, they moved to Tel Aviv, where I was born. And here I am in Tel Aviv, 1950, and I grew up in Tel Aviv. You can see here our family in 54, and later my mother with her 2 kids, 57. I must say, I had a very happy childhood. My mother even though she was very worried about us kids, she let us do whatever we wanted, and we could play and travel and ride the bicycle and go to the beach on our own. She never limited us doing anything. But there were other kids around us in my class, in my street, in my neighborhood, that their parents, who were also Holocaust survivors, limited their activities. They could not ride bicycles. They had to dress heavily in the summer. They could not go to the beach. And we were mocking them. We were calling them soaps. And I regret to say that I did the same. My mother never acquired some kind of professional work, even though in Auschwitz, she spent most of her time as a nurse, and she wanted very much to become a professional nurse in Israel, but the circumstances were such, and I must say that my father never really pushed her to do that. She became a housewife, very dedicated one, treating her family, keeping traditions, holidays, cooking, and so on, but never actually becoming what she always wanted to be, which made her very much depressed. And unfortunately, at that time, when I was growing up, I did not understand all these things. All I knew was that, and this is what my father told us, never make mother angry, because she had very bad nightmares in the nights, and she could become very angry during the days and even start hitting herself. And this lasted for many years until eventually she quieted down. I made my mother very happy because I was a good student. Eventually, I also married with Einat, and you can see how happy my mother is. I gave her, or we gave her, 4 kids, and these were really the best things one could offer her. She loved her 5 grandkids, one for my daughter as well, Shiraz. And in 2004, my mother died. I developed my career, and I had a very prosperous and productive lab. Lily said I published several papers. I actually published over 150 scientific papers. And my students, some of them became professors themselves. My lab was at the Hebrew University Faculty of Medicine. I traveled all over the world. I was teaching at Columbia, Sao Paulo, Mexico City, Munich, Bonn. Here is a collaboration at the Bonn University. And everything was fine and promising, even when I retired. And until something happened. Something happened 10 years ago, exactly 10 years ago. And I call this the beginning of my metamorphosis. What happened? Somebody, and I have no time to go into that, but some unknown person to me, and you can read all this in my book, phoned me and told me, listen, come, I have to meet you. And he showed me a picture from the Museum of Auschwitz-Birkenau. And he showed me this picture and said, is this your mother? And I looked at this picture and I could not believe it. I mean, this woman, actually, she looked like my mother. So I went to this museum immediately, within a week. I was at the Auschwitz-Birkenau Museum, and in Block 6, and this is the corridor with the pictures, and this display is dedicated to Polish people who died in Auschwitz. And sure enough, I see this picture. My mother is here, and it's a picture that was taken when she arrived in Auschwitz on November. The picture was taken November 14, 1942. And when I look at the picture, it says, doesn't say Bela Hazan, and it doesn't say Bronislawa Limanowska, which was her Polish name. It says Krystyna Kosowska, some other name. and it says she was a teacher, but the dates of her coming and to Auschwitz, the date was true, but it also says she died in Auschwitz, and this made me curious. I would say made me even crazy. You know, I could not understand what I'm seeing, and I started investigating. Like I had the book in my mind to understand what's going on, and I started studying my mother's history, and I went back to her diary, and actually it was the first time I read it comprehensively. I did have a look at it before, but I never read it comprehensively. And I started going to archives and interviewing witnesses and so on. And I became interested not only in my mother's history, but also in the Holocaust itself. And eventually I started publishing, as Lily said, all kinds of articles, some of them about my mother in Haaretz, Yediot Achronot, some were translated to English, about all kinds of topics. And finally, the book came out a year ago, telling my mother's story very comprehensively with many testimonies confirming what she did during the Holocaust. And this is just a short list. Each one of these lines is a chapter or two in my book. She was smuggling food and medicines into Vilna ghetto. She was securing a safe house in Grodno, doing undercover work in the Grodno Gestapo headquarters. She smuggled stamped documents and money from Grodno to Vilna ghetto. She organized resistance in Grodno. She participated in the operation of Schmidt. You have to read about it in my book, in Vilna, in which 50 members of Dror movement were clandestinely moved to Bialystok in order to create the underground there. She smuggled newborn babies from Vilna ghetto to Bialystok. She helped Jewish prisoners in Pavyak prison. She treated female Jewish inmates in Birkenau hospital, saving many lives. She resisted sadistic sexual violation of female inmates by the SS in Auschwitz. Unbelievable, but I found other testimonies telling this story. She smuggled Jewish girls from the queue to the crematorium into the women's camp under the fence. She saved many inmates in the Leipzig Taucher camp from slaughter and carried them to freedom. This is a partial list. Eventually, my mother, due to my work and publications, my mother began to get the recognition that she deserved, unfortunately, 20 years posthumously. In 20, actually, this is a mistake. In 2019, she received at a ceremony on Holocaust Day, she received the Jewish Rescue Citation given by the Bnei Brit organization in recognition of the devotion, courage, and heroism exhibited by Bela, Yaari, Hazan.
Yoel, you must conclude.
Yes, and here I'm concluding. In the last ceremony of the Holocaust Memorial Day at the Ghetto Fighters House, there was this is the amphitheater of the Ghetto Fighters House, 4,000 to 5,000 people attending. They dedicated a part of this ceremony to my mother, and you can hear what was said about her. This is just 1 minute long.
במחנה הנשים באושוויץ בירקנאו התארגנו מספר קבוצות של צעירות יהודיות לפעילות של התנגדות והצלה. רובן היו חברות בתנועות נוער ציוניות שפעלו תחת המוטו עדיף למות בכבוד מאשר ללכת כצאן לטבח. אחד מסיפורי הגבורה מעוררי ההשראה הוא סיפורה של בלה חזן. בלה חברה במחנה בירקנאו לקבוצת צעירות יהודיות שהחליטו לבצע את הבלתי יאמן. להתארגן בצורה מחתרתית ולנסות להבריח נערות יהודיות שכבר המתינו בשביל המוליך אל תאי הגזים. לקחת אותן לתוך המחנה הנשים הסמוך ששכן מחוץ לגדר, להציל את חייהם. את סיפורה של בלה יספרו לירי סופר ואביב גורביץ', בני קיבוץ לוחמי הגטאות.
כך סיפרה בלה. החלטנו לחדור בלילות מתחת לחוטי התיל ולסכן את חיינו. את העבודה הזו עשינו רק בלילה, בלילות ללא ירח. הרכבת הגיעה 50 מטר מחוטי התיל של המחנה, וכשהוציאו את האנשים מהקרונות, העמידו אותם בצד. בפעם הראשונה שניסינו, הצלחנו להגניב שתי נערות שממש עמדו בתור לכבשן. חווה ורות קראו להן, ילדות מגרמניה.
בצורה זו הצילו הגיבורות היהודיות 14 נערות ממוות מיידי, והדריכו אותן איך להתנהל במחנה מבלי לעורר חשד, ובכך הצילו את חייהם. סיפורם של בלה ושל כל אותן הלוחמות היהודיות, שלמרות הכל ואף על פי כן לא נשברה רוחן, מהווה השראה גם לנו, נוער ישראלי יהודי במדינת ישראל.
תודה רבה. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yoel. It was very, very interesting. And now we have about 10 minutes for questions to our speakers.
Yoel?
Yes.
Okay, thank
Any
you.
questions?
Well, somebody has to start, so I will start.
Okay.
So Alex, hi Alex.
I
Did you also forgive Mengele for what he did to your mother?
So yeah, that's a great question. I get asked that a lot. I think forgiveness is a very personal decision. It's not for everyone. I think forgiveness has a place in everyone's heart and everyone's mind. I still struggle with, do I have the right to forgive Mengele? I use forgiveness in my daily life. I don't know, and I believe in forgiveness, and I believe in the merits and benefits of forgiveness, but I'm not sure it's my place to forgive Mengele.
Thank you so much.
Glenn?
I think, Yaari, your story was incredibly powerful. I just wondered, I mean, Alex's mother and Alex went to Auschwitz many times. Did your mother ever go back to Auschwitz? Did you ever go back to
My mother?
Yaari's mother?
No, Yaari, Yoel.
Because your mother went back many times, and I wondered something like Yaari, whether his mother ever took him, or whether she went back to Germany or Europe at all after her.
Well, she never went back to Auschwitz. She never went back to Poland, even though I offered to go with her. She did visit once Germany, but the only reason was I was there on sabbatical and she wanted to see me. And that's why we came to Germany. That was the only reason.
It's a good reason.
And she bought me a Rosh Hashanah cake, a honey cake.
Thank you.
Okay, if we have no further questions, I would like to thank very much our three speakers.
Sorry, Lily,
Yes.
just one last one. Could you put the details about the books which you mentioned various books which the speakers have published or are about to publish? Could we get details of those books?
What do you mean? Yoel's book or Alex?
Or both. I mean, Yaari's published a book, and I think Alex has also published.
No, Arnon did, I think.
Arnon did, yes.
Arnon and Yaari,
did.
I think they're both
Alex,
published
you have a
books.
book as well?
Yeah, I put it in
So
the
maybe
link.
you can just write the details on our WhatsApp now.
Yeah, I put the link on the chat room, but I can send it to your WhatsApp. But yeah,
Thank you.
This is Yoel's.
Yeah.
Well,
You can, all the three speakers, you can send all the details to Mara, and she, after she comes back from holiday, we can publish it.
Well,
as a matter of fact, my book is still on production, so it will take a couple of months until it will be published.
Well, my book, can I speak or is it?
Yes, Yoel, yes.
Yes.
Yoel, yes.
So I don't come up. So where am I?
You're there.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, but you cannot see me.
I can.
We can see you.
You see me? I don't see
Yes.
my book. My book was published in Hebrew, and now I'm translating it to English. I should say that it was optioned already by a British production company for film. So I hope a major film will come out of it.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Thank you all very, very much. It was a very interesting meeting. And I wish you all Shana Tova, and let's hope that the next year is going to be much better than the two previous ones.
Our next meeting,
yes, is on December 7th, 4th, December 4th, and it's going to be dedicated to daughters talking about their mothers. It's only a fair mission, right? We heard the sons, and now we are going to hear the daughters memorizing their mothers. Thank you very much, and I wish you a very pleasant.
Another thing is, if anyone from this group would like to get our emails, please contact us again, and we will send you all our activities and conferences.
You mean if they want to have by email our activities,
to be
not
on
our emails.
Our mailing list, and we are facing a conference in Belgrade next.
Dragana is here still with
Dragana
us.
is here. She also is leading the conference. Some words.
Yeah, it's going to. Are you here, Dragana?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so please tell us. You have 2 minutes to talk about the conference.
All right, the conference is approaching very fast. It is the third annual Whisc conference, but for the second time it is happening in Belgrade with cooperation of Shoah Lab, which is a laboratory of the Holocaust research. And it is going to cover 3 days with 7 different panels with a specific concentration on Yugoslav women going through the Holocaust. So we will cover their stories, and we will have the panels on gendered violence, women doctors, different women's stories extracted from their testimonies, and also from all kinds of different research projects. We will have the panels on art and culture, also on resistance. So we are expecting around 30 speakers from all the different countries, from Europe, Israel, United States. So I'm very happy to announce this. It's only in 3 weeks. We hope for the book that will come from the research that we are going to hear at the conference. So as soon as it is printed, we are also going to announce it. But the book that we previously printed is out. Yes. So it also contains 12 chapters where you can read about the previous conference that Whisc had with the partners in Belgrade. So these are the news. We hope for the book to sail safely to Israel with our colleagues from Whisc after our conference. So hopefully it will be also available for more of you. But it is also available online, so I can also send the link, or the colleagues from Whisc can send a link so you can have a chance to read it.
Yes, please, can we get the link to the book?
Sure. That's it for now. The rest is going to
happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening, morning, whatever, and a lovely weekend as well. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Khatima Tova, Shana Tova. Goodbye.
Tova, bye.